Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back in today with another fantasy football video. In today's video, we have Week 6 running back rankings. I'm going to be going from 1 through 32 on all the guys at the running back position that I've ranked in that order. Now, before I get in the video, I'd like to ask if you guys could please go down below and click that subscribe button, because not only is it going to help me, it's also going to help you guys dominate your fantasy football season. And I'd also like to give you guys a word from my sponsor, OverlayDFS. They are a great website, very fun to play on. I play on it every single week, and you guys should come join me. Play the role now. Are you tired of having to pick the perfect player at every single position in order to win on salary cap DFS? Are you tired of having your salary cap lineup out of the running to win that money in the first 5 minutes of the games? Does playing salary cap DFS feel like a job and not even a game? Want a fantasy game where pros with 150 lineups and computer-generated programs can't dominate? OverlayDFS.com has a new revolutionary start-sit game for fantasy sports. They are the home of the single-entry GPP. How do you play? Like I said, it's a simple start-sit format. You make 12 start-sit decisions from the 30-plus matchups presented like you can see on my screen right now for Week 6. A win, loss, or tie will be awarded to your overall record for each decision you make. Records in the top 10% of users win 9 times your buy-in. 12-0 records win GTD progressive bonus. All matchups are player versus player who will have the most total fantasy points. Usually 8-4 records are good enough to get that cash. Sometimes 7-5. Other times 9-3, depending on the week. You make 12 picks in the matchups options listed. For example, for Week 6, it could be Pat Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield versus Andy Dalton, Dalvin Cook versus Alvin Kamara, and many, many more. The object is to stay consistent and finish in the top 10% of the field to win 9 times your buy-in until the stars align and you go that beautiful 12-0. Right now, if you go a perfect 12-0 in the $109 game, you'll win the progressive bonus of over $26,000. They have buy-ins at all levels. If no one hits the perfect 12-0 record of the progressive bonus, keeps growing and growing and growing until it gets hit. It's like the super contest, but for DFS. Don't get shut out. Visit www.overdefs.com today. We are back, Week 6 running back rankings. Here is 1 through 12. At number 1, we have Christian McCaffrey, run CMC, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, they are in London, and some people don't think Christian McCaffrey will be the number 1 guy this week because his matchup against Tampa Bay isn't the greatest. And number 2, Ezekiel Elliott, going up against the New York Jets, has a great matchup. But you know what I say to you? Fuck you, because Christian McCaffrey is the number 1 running back in fantasy. He had one bad week. Every other week was 30-plus points for Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is the most dominant player in fantasy football besides the Patriots defense. Christian McCaffrey is going to dominate this week against Tampa Bay, and you can quote that. At number 2, we have Ezekiel Elliott going up against the New York Football Jets, and like I said, this is a good matchup for Ezekiel Elliott. The Jets defense, while ranked number 10 by DVOA, has not looked all that good. I think Ezekiel Elliott is in for a pretty big game this week against the Jets. At number 3, we have Alvin Kamara going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I know last week Teddy Bridgewater threw 4 touchdowns. Count that, 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. And I think Alvin Kamara is going to get a lot of work in this game. Dump-offs going his way. Maybe even further down the field, also rushing opportunity. I like Alvin Kamara. Now, you do have to worry about the fact that he is hurt, so monitor that injury on Sunday mornings. I live stream. I'll tell you if he's in, if he's out. He should be in. That's why he's ranked number 3. He should be good this week. At number 4, we have Nick Chubb, who looked like a 1/4 Chubb last week. Did not play all that well. Going up against Seattle this week, I think he's in for a bounce-back game. Now, Baker Mayfield may look terrible. Baker Mayfield may look washed up. He does not look dangerous anymore, but that does not stop Nick Chubb. As long as they commit to the run, Nick Chubb will be able to dominate in fantasy football and will be able to dominate against Seattle. We saw a high-scoring matchup between the Rams and Seattle last Thursday. While I don't think Baker can put up those amount of points, I think that they can run the ball enough and dump the ball off enough to Nick Chubb for him to have a great Sunday. At number 5, we have David Johnson going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons has looked like a terrible terrible defense, easily through the ground as well as through the air. Now, David Johnson is also injured, so you have to monitor that. Now, if David Johnson is out, his backup, Chase Edmonds, is a potential top 15 running back. If he is out, Chase Edmonds will be getting fed just like his name was David Johnson, and he'll be in for a big game too. But I really think David Johnson's in for a huge game as long as he is healthy. At number 6, we have Le'Veon Bell of the New York Football Jets going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Le'Veon Bell has not had that hot of the past couple of games, but that's because he's been playing with Luke Falk. Now, Mr. Sammy Mono is back. Sam Darnold is back into the game, and he loves dumping the ball to Le'Veon Bell. If you're in a PPR type league, Le'Veon Bell is phenomenal because he just gets the ball dumped his way every single game. Okay, he gets the ball so many times thrown his way that he's just worth it strictly in a PPR league just for that. He's obviously going to get that rushing opportunity. And against the Dallas defense, I think he will be able to find that end zone. We saw last week Aaron Jones score 4 touchdowns on the Dallas Cowboys defense, so I don't see why Le'Veon Bell can't score at least one. Now, we have Dalvin Cook at number 7. Dalvin Cook would be a top 5 guy pretty much every single week had he not been playing the Philadelphia Eagles this week. The Philadelphia Eagles run defense is fucking good, legitimately good. They may be able to stop Le'Veon Bell. That's why, not Le'Veon Bell, Dalvin Cook. That's why he's ranked number 7. Now, number 7 is obviously still a good back. He's still a must-start guy in your lineup. But I do think you got to temper your expectations a bit this week against the Eagles. And number 8, we have Mark Ingram going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Cincinnati Bengals defense has looked terrible against the run. Unlike the Philadelphia Eagles, they look garbage against the run. They also look garbage against the pass, so you don't really have to say anything about the Bengals defense. They just look like shit. Mark Ingram should be able to find the end zone. The Ravens clearly like running the ball when they're in or near the fucking goal line, so Mark Ingram should be in for a pretty good game. And number 9, we have the 4-touchdown man, Aaron Jones, going up against the Detroit Lions. Now, I don't expect him to score 4 touchdowns again, but I do expect him to get a load of work. Now, you do have to worry about the fact that Jamal Williams may creep back into the lineup this week, but as of right now, I think Aaron Jones is in for a solid workload against the Detroit Lions, and obviously going to get that goal line work, obviously going to get that work inside the 5-yard line, so I think Aaron Jones will be in for a pretty solid game. At number 10, we have Leonard Fournette going against the New Orleans Saints. Now, the thing with Leonard Fournette is he just gets the ball fed to him so many times. Gardner Minshew just fucking feeds him the ball, just keeps handing it to him. So he literally is so good just off of the amount of times he touches the ball alone. A lot of people say that getting the ball a lot is the key to fantasy. Getting fed the ball is the key to fantasy football success, and it seems to be for Leonard Fournette. I think he's in for a pretty good game against the New Orleans Saints, who don't have the best run defense. At number 11, we have James Conner going against the LA Chargers. Now, James Conner has disappointed pretty much every game except for that game against the Bengals. But what I do know is that Jalen Samuel is out. Jalen Samuels is out, so that means James Conner is going to be seeing 80% of the touches or potentially even more. Look like that bell cow from last year. I think that that's obviously going to elevate his skill, elevate his points, and he's going to eat against the LA Chargers. And my final top 12 running back is Chris Carson going against the Cleveland Browns. Believeland. Now, Chris Carson has looked pretty good in the past couple of weeks. He hasn't had that fumbleitis that he was suffering the first about 4 weeks of the season. I think Chris Carson is in for a big game against the Cleveland Browns. You can see that they're dumping it off to him. You do have to worry about the fact that Rashad Penny is healthy and does go out there when Chris Carson should be on the field, but it's okay because Chris Carson's playing against the Browns. The Browns haven't looked too hot, and Chris Carson should be in for a good game. Now we're on to 13 through 24. Number 13, we have Kerryon Johnson going against the Green Bay Packers. Now, Kerryon Johnson has not looked amazing, but we saw it the week before they had the bye against Kansas City. He looked great against Kansas City. I think that he's going to be getting fed the ball in this game. The Green Bay pass defense is good, and I think Kerryon will be able to run through them and have a pretty solid game. Now, number 14, we have Austin Eckler going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as you can see, he's ranked above Melvin Gordon. Why is that, Nick? Because I believe that Austin Eckler will still be seeing the majority of touches, the majority of balls thrown his way. Eventually in this season, maybe next week, maybe the week after, Melvin Gordon will be the guy getting a majority of the touches. But as of right now, I have so much more trust in Austin Eckler going up against the Steelers defense that hasn't looked too hot. The Steelers that have their third string quarterback in. So the Chargers are going to have the ball a lot. I think Austin Eckler's in for a pretty solid game. Now, number 15, we have Todd Gurley, TG. 31 going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I know Todd Gurley is banged up, but if he is good to go, he should be able to run fine against San Francisco, and that's why he is ranked the number 15 back this week. Number 16, we have Melvin Gordon going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said, I think that Austin Eckler is going to get the majority of the rushes. Now, I am scared about starting Melvin Gordon. He's ranked so high because of how good the matchup is for him. But I do think at the end of the day, he will be fine and be a worthy start. But number 16 is pretty much his ceiling. I think that he may finish below that, but I'd still start him in a lot of situations. At number 17, we have D-Rock Henry going up against the Denver Broncos. And Derrick Henry has looked great All 7 of his last touchdowns have came from the 1-yard line, but that's okay because the Denver Broncos defense did look good last week, but they haven't looked that great all season. I think Derrick Henry will be able to get fed the ball. Volume is king, just like with Leonard Fournette, and Derrick Henry's in for a good game against Denver. At number 18, we have Devontae Freeman going up against the Arizona Cardinals, and the Arizona Cardinals defense is terrible. I thought about ranking him higher because of that, but I'm not sure that Dan Quinn is smart enough to run the ball in this game. That guy's an idiot. A lot of Atlanta fans are calling for his head. Fucking cut that shit off and put it on their doorstep because they hate him so much. But I think Devontae Freeman's in for a good game this week. At number 19, we have Joe Mixon going against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, he is considered a sit in my fantasy football starter sit running back video, but he's ranked so high because the Baltimore run defense has been atrocious. You can easily run the ball against Baltimore, but I do think that Joe Mixon, if he is to bounce back, this would be his game. But I'm so worried about the line that's why he wasn't a start, and that's why I am kind of nervous about Joe Mixon this week. At number 20, we have Matt Breida going up against the LA Rams. Matt Breida has looked phenomenal last week. He looked amazing. Over 100 yards, busted that huge run, looked fast as fuck. And I think against the Rams, he's going to be able to do it again. We saw last week Chris Carson be able to do it in the run game. I think Matt Breida can do the same thing. Now, obviously, him and Tevin Coleman are going to be sharing them touches, sharing the backfield. But I still think Matt Breida is definitely the better start out of the two. At number 21, we have Chris Thompson. He's ranked this high strictly because he's playing the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have looked atrocious. Chris Thompson has looked good in games where the game script is going his way. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, dumping it off to Chris Thompson, and I think he's in for a pretty good game. At number 22, we have Damian Williams going up against the Houston Texans. Now, the Houston Texans have looked pretty good, but I think Damian Williams is obviously the number one back clearly on the team. LaShawn McCoy didn't get too many touches last week. I think Damian Williams is in for a huge workload against the Houston Texans. Obviously, he's also the pass-catching back on the team, so you can look forward to those PPR points. At number 23, we have Kenyon Drake, and this is the only week you may be able to start Kenyon Drake because he's playing against the atrocious Washington Redskins. Kenyon Drake is in for a big game this week against the Redskins. It probably his only big game of the season, and by big game, I mean like 12 points, but that's the biggest game you'll ever see from Kenyon Drake because the team is so bad. At number 24, we have Philip Lindsay going up against the Tennessee Titans, and I like Philip Lindsay a lot this week. Philip Lindsay has been a guy that I have not really trusted because of the fact that Rolls-Royce Freeman has been there on the team. But I think against the Tennessee Titans, they're going to need that pass catching back. They're going to be scared. The Tennessee defense looks good, and I think Philip Lindsay is in for a pretty good game here. Now, obviously, I don't expect 40 points or 30 points from him this week. That's why he's ranked 24, but I think he's obviously a better start than Royce Freeman this week. Now we're on to 25 through 32, so if you made it this far, make sure you click that subscribe button. At 25, we have LaShawn McCoy going up against the Houston Texans. Now, LaShawn McCoy did not look all that hot last week. Still getting some passing work, still getting some rushing work, but I think that he's getting for a better game against the Houston Texans. They're going to be scoring a lot of points in this game. They weren't scoring a lot of points against the Colts. I think this matchup is good for LaShawn McCoy, and that's why he's ranked number 25. Number 26 is Carlos Hyde going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I don't love starting him this week, but the Chiefs clearly are not good against the run. Last week, we saw Marlon Mack jam the ball down their throat, run the damn ball. If Bill O'Brien is not a fucking idiot, Carlos Hyde will be getting fed the rock, and we'll be getting a lot of points this week against Kansas City. At number 27, we have Rolls-Royce Freeman going up against the Tennessee Titans. Why is he ranked number 27? Because a lot of the guys behind him just aren't that good. I know he's going to be getting the ball a decent amount of times and potentially find that end zone, and you'll be potentially happy with starting him. At number 28, we have Tevin Coleman going up against the LA Rams. I do like Matt Breida more than him this week, but obviously Tevin Coleman's that pass catching back. He gets those PPR points, and he's definitely a solid start this week. At number 29, we have Jordan Howard of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I know. A lot of people are pissed off because it should be the Miles Sanders show, and it really should be, but all I've seen is that they want to run the ball when they're on the goal line and near the goal line, and Jordan Howard's going to get that goal line work, and that's why he's ranked number 29, because he could potentially find the end zone against the Vikings. At number 30, we have Ronald Jones going up against the Carolina Panthers. Now, I don't love him or Peyton Barber this week, but at the end of the day, you're in quite the pickle if you have to start him, so he's ranked number 30 because the Panthers' run defense hasn't looked that amazing. At number 31, we have Ito Smith going up against the Arizona Cardinals, and he is strictly a start just because the Arizona Cardinals has looked so shit, and he scored 10-plus points in the last 2 games. He's getting some of those vultures from Devontae Freeman, and he may be able to vulture the Arizona Cardinals this week. And at number 32, we have the Duke Earl Johnson going up against the Kansas City Chiefs strictly due to the good matchup and the fact that they may have to dump the ball off to Duke a couple of times. Thank you guys for watching this video. If at any point you enjoyed, make sure to click that subscribe button. Knock one time on it for me. Make sure to click that like button. Have a great rest of your day. Check out OverlayDFS.com. Link below down in the description. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Goodbye, guys.